Thank you, Facilitator. Thank you, the organizing committee. And thank you to Mr. House. I bring a word of appreciation from the Office of the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary, the Commissioner, for the initiative to, for the invitation for me to represent the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary and the PNG government. Thank you very much. As you have heard from the other two presenters, and a lot more has been said during the presentations, maybe yesterday and today, basing on gender-based as part of developmental issues. Yes, I have worked in the policing arena for 20 years over, and I would like to do a short presentation and then overview, and then I will take you a bit into policing aspects on the difficulties, some of the constraints in addressing the issues of gender-based. Gender-based violence in PNG may have similarities in other Pacific Islands and globally, as we all know that gender-based is a global and a very complex issue which no one will have an end result or an answer to end this problem until somebody else, an individual, begins to take ownership. It is indeed one of the major developmental issues, and it is most often the vulnerable who are the victims, as in the case of women and children. And even few men have also fallen victim lately due to the trauma that the woman had suffered for some times and begin to realize where a man falls victim. I will be talking here as a local citizen, as a Papua New Guinean, and the difficulties and the experiences that I have seen and felt with the victims and the perpetrators of gender-based. As you have known, Papua New Guinea has a diverse tradition and culture, and it varies from province to province. Bride price is also seen as an exception, a form of ownership by men. Traditionally, it was a form of recognition to reunite the man and woman's clan and to maintain family ties. This has been misinterpreted by many who have now used bride price as a token of ownership, which is totally against the PNG tradition and culture. As you have seen some of the photographs that were taken, we have seen as one of the contributing factors would be bride price as seen to be power and control over, or indirectly ownership over a life of a victim, especially a woman. Women are not usually in public and community decision making, even though they are the people who are most important support of the family unit and provides economic resources. Women have been expected to do women's work such as looking after children and providing food. This contribution is invisible, not counted as something of value. Women all over the Pacific and other countries, as well as PNG, have been looked upon as inferior by men and seen unfit to take on jobs that are traditionally done by men. The effects of gender-based violence. Gender-based is still a very serious problem in PNG as to date, and we will still be injecting funds, and so many trainings and workshops will be conducted to find answers to ease the problem. It disables what should be harmonious relationship within the family unit and the community at large. It also has a lot of negative impact on the victim family, province, and the country. It results from gender equality and discriminations. The violence is so frequent imposed on the woman and even children adds up to physical, emotional, and psychological abuse. And you can see in the province that I am living and working in, we have a lot of children who have been victims of family sexual violence, who are leaving their homes and taking up shelters with their peer, and they're even residing elsewhere where they're not supposed to be. Gender-based also violates significant dimension of human rights and denies the rights of a woman. Violence against women will continue unless effective measures are taken to eliminate the problem. Thus, this is crucial for everybody to work together to put a break on this ugly problem so that we have a healthier and more peaceful home and society. Gender-based and the policing itself. In PNG, as many of you may have known, or maybe you have heard, there is no specific law for domestic assault. It is classified under general assault summary or grievous bodily harm under the criminal code. So up until to date, there is still no specific law for any forms of violence against women or children. The issue of protection order for victims is still an issue in the country, and it is progressing very slow and at times put victims at a very greater risk from court and the police. So because of the alarming increasing rate of the victims of violence who needs to seek security and safe transit from the perpetrators, we have established a very good contact with our district courts to establish preventive measures, just a temporary protection order for a victim who urgently needs that order to be in place. But the progress is still very slow, and there is no specific protection or safe house transit for the victims in some centers of PNG. The centers that are providing safe transit are sometimes at risk due to perpetrator or relatives forcing to take back the victims home. As you have mentioned and you have heard, policing, there is still a lot more yet to be done, despite the policy, the legislation that have been put in place, and we still have a lot more yet to be done in terms of logistic supports, administrative supports, where we have the concentration around the family sexual violence unit itself. The office that in the center that I am working in, and I also did a couple of research in the other provinces, and you can see that the environment itself is not too conducive for our victims, and there is no privacy, and the office itself is not too conducive for such services delivery. And the other main hindrance would also be that because the family sexual violence, which was established under the law and justice to achieve the missions and objective of the government of the day, you will see that from my own perspective, I could see that there is still misinterpretation on the gender-based violence issue. We have, because we still have this great norm that gender-based is still a family issue. And woman deserves to be beaten if she steps out of line. You know, this is one way to get in line. I will go into the PNG Constitution and the United Nations Treaty, which Papua New Guinea is also a signatory to the United Nations Treaty. And PNG's Constitution is basing on fundamental basic rights. You know, people have freedom to live, access basic health services. PNG will be liable to the United Nations if this is not followed, and we women will be continuously to be arrested, beaten, raped, murdered, burnt alive, and will continue to suffer in the hands of men. That's for some men, and many men have also improved their lifestyle, and they begin to support the program of gender-based violence awareness. And then we have talked on, and you have seen a couple of shots that was been put up by Joe on the end result of how much pain can be inflicted on a victim. And I would say that in the province that I am living and working in, Lae, which is the second city to PNG, we have seen a lot of changes have taken place in working, in establishing that network and partnership. The police in the province that I have lived and worked in, we have established a very good networking with the public sectors, the business houses, the court, churches and NGOs, and we have a very good, effective networking in place. And as you have heard from Kamalini, yes, we have a very good support from the magistrates, and we are also looking into getting a 24-hour protection for our victims, depending on the nature or the seriousness of the situation that they are in. We have had a lot of achievements from the law and justice, which have enhanced our capabilities in skill buildings and all this, and some of the other programs that were initiated, which have given the skills to our members, especially in policing, to seriously address the issues of gender-based violence. And I would say here that the last information sessions that were been attended by the police officers were like some 5 years from now. So changes have been taking place. So we need to have more information to be imparted to not only the police officers but the other like village court magistrates and the other community leaders. The constraints that we have had so far, the medical services for the gender-based victims after hours, as Kamalini has mentioned, we have a safe house that is in operation, but it's not too safe in security-wise. And the gaps that we are lacking very much is we have a lot of services that have been provided with all other stakeholders trying to address the seriousness of gender-based, not only gender-based, they're also relating to other cross-cutting issues like HIV, alcohol, and drug. And our weaknesses would be the monitoring and the evaluation aspects of trying to keep our records updated, and then who is doing what and all this. That is also for police as well. Our way forward, we are still trying to keep on to lobbying for a legislation that is from the political point of view, but it takes the NGOs and all the other stakeholders to keep on pushing to make this legislation for domestic violence to be effective. And then we have to have a law of its own to seriously address the issue of gender-based. We're working to create service centers for people with disabilities who are also, we also have victims who are people living with disabilities or special needs. Many are also victims of violence regardless of their status, either it be a male or a female. And there is still a great need for advocacy in policing, especially as well with other stakeholders, for, as I've seen through the presentation of many of you have done today, that we still have a lot yet to be done in the remote areas of Papua New Guinea with respect to gender-based and other issues that you have all been presenting this morning. And maybe police officers to be multi-skilled. So whether I would give a classic example, if an officer who is in the traffic division and then is, he has multi-skilled is multi-skilled to address the issues of gender-based, whether it be gender-based or HIV or alcohol and drug. And to conclude, every individual, group, community, nation, and the country, regardless of status, color, race, nationality, we all have to contribute by putting our hand up to be an agent of change for a better tomorrow for our children's generation. Otherwise, the cycle on all forms of abuse goes on, and no one will find the solution to end it once and for all. Thank you.